Hey everybody, welcome to section 3.3, the angles and angles of polygons. This is your guided notes. This is Mr. Bennett here, so welcome to our next video lecture. So one of the things that's going to get tossed around here is the definition of a polygon. Now a polygon is a closed plane figure made up of three or more line segments that intersect only at their endpoints. Okay, so that's the big definition of what a polygon is. It's a closed, it's not open, there's no hole in it. Okay, so what we want to talk about here is this idea of polygons, and the two things that we're going to be really focused on is the sum of the interior of the polygons and the sum of the exterior angles of a polygon. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the sum of the interior angles in a polygon. That's inside, the angles inside. And we have this nifty little formula that we can use. So the sum of the interior angles of a polygon with n sides is n minus 2, that quantity, times 180 degrees. And we're going to look more closely at that in class today. So let's look at how we use this formula. So polygons are all over in the world. We notice them with stop signs. Here's a pedestrian crossing sign. So these polygons, these shapes are especially useful in the driving community. We have polygons everywhere, and this is just one example. So it's asking us here in example 1 to find the sum of the interior angles of the image below. So the number one thing I want to do, I want to find the number of sides. That's the n value. That's the only number I need to know in order to find the total angle sum. So let's count the sides. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, here's 4, and here's 5. This is a 5-sided shape, this pedestrian, this walking sign. So I'm going to plug in 5 for my n value. So I'm going to have 5 minus 2 times 180 degrees. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. I'm going to have 3 times 180 degrees. So if I take 3 times 180 degrees, I get 540 degrees. So what that means is that this angle plus this angle plus this angle plus this angle plus this angle has a sum of 540 degrees. So now let's look at a second example here. It says find the measure of the missing angle. So again, they have a whole bunch of angles inside here, and one of the ways you can do it is you can count the angles, and that's going to help you with the number of sides because each side is going to have an angle, or you can just count the sides. So if I count the sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 sides. So there's 2 parts that I need to know about this problem. If I want to find the missing value of x, I got to know, well, what's the total number of degrees I get to work with here? So the first thing I'm going to do is find the sum of the interior angles. I'm going to use this formula again. I need to know the sum of the interior angles before I can find that missing side. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So it's a 7-sided figure, so I'm going to have 7 minus 2 times 180 degrees. Remember, n is the number of sides. There are 7 sides here. So 7 minus 2 is 5. I'm going to have 5 times 180 degrees, and that is going to end up being 900. So that's not my answer. That's the total number of degrees that this polygon can have. It's 900 degrees. So I know all of them but one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this 900. That 900 has to equal the sum of all the angles. So I have to add all these angles up. So I'm going to start with x. I'm going to have x plus 128 plus 130 plus 120, 120 degrees, plus 115 degrees, plus 145 degrees, plus 140 degrees. Whoops. So I've got all my angles listed there. So I have now 900 degrees is going to equal x plus, so I have to add all these angles up. If you add all those angles up, you get 778 degrees. So that's a one-step equation now. Now all I have to do is subtract 778 degrees from both sides. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And I'm left with x is 122 degrees. So I found the missing angle. X has to be 122 degrees. So that takes care of our first objective, finding the sum of the interior angles of a polygon. Stay tuned for our second video where we look at the sum of the exterior angles of a polygon.